Patients and staff are cleared out of the Naval Medical Center at Balboa Park after a report of shots fired in the complex. The incident put the community on edge. I'm Eric Anderson. The investigation and the impact of the big scare tonight on KPBS Evening Edition. Also tonight, a look at an innovative surgical solution for the symptoms of Parkinson's disease. And we'll meet a San Diegan who's a pioneer in the African-American hair care industry. And we'll show you an exhibit celebrating his achievements. KPBS Evening Edition starts right now. Good evening and thanks for joining us. A report of shots fired shut down the Naval Medical Center near Balboa Park for hours today. The incident also closed nearby museums and put several schools in the area on lockdown. The report proved to be unfounded, but less than 2 months after the mass shooting in San Bernardino, law enforcement was taking no chances. KPBS reporter Steve Walsh begins our coverage.
The call came in just after 8 in the morning. A Department of Defense employee reported 3 shots fired inside Building 26 at the Naval Medical Center.
I would characterize it as someone who thought they heard something and made reports, at which point in time we took the appropriate steps that we take when we have a report along those lines.
The medical center went into lockdown. Hospital staff had been trained in how to handle an active shooter as recently as December. The center posted on social media that personnel inside the medical center should either run, hide, or fight. Loved ones waited outside, texting family members sheltered inside. By 10:30, officials were confident that it was a false alarm.
We take all reports like this very seriously. We do a lot of training to help people recognize what they're supposed to do in the event of an active shooter. Obviously, there's been numerous events that have occurred throughout the country and truly around the world, so we take this all very, very seriously.
New patients continued to be diverted from the medical center while police methodically swept the building. Throughout the day, Navy officials continued to indicate that the person who made the shooting claim would not be sanctioned. Law enforcement want people to come forward when they feel they've witnessed something out of the ordinary. Steve Walsh, KPBS News.
Things did return to normal at the hospital by mid-afternoon today, but before then, the search had service members, civilian employees, and the surrounding community on edge. KPBS reporter Matt Bowler has that part of the story.
If you're on base, to either hide, run, or fight.
Beth Elder, a civilian who works at Naval Medical Center San Diego, is describing the message she received from the Navy.
It's like I live in South Park and I don't see that kind of stuff all the time. So it's definitely, I think, a surreal experience.
Even people with military experience were worried. Army veteran Juan Mack was worried about his daughter, a Navy veteran who was at the medical center with her 8-year-old son. Mack hurried to the hospital as soon as news broke.
Oh, I just knew she was here. There was a shooter. Well, I just came here to make sure they're okay.
San Diego Unified put 3 area schools on lockdown, nearby San Diego and Garfield High Schools, along with Roosevelt Middle. Beth Elder says even if the incident was a false report, there's much to learn from the experience.
That it's about being vigilant and, really having your awareness up. And, if you do see something, to say something. And, this kind of thing just makes you even more aware of the need to do that.
Matt Bowler, KPBS News.
Now, one of the attention-getting moments this morning centered on the Naval Medical Center San Diego Facebook page. There was a post announcing a report of an active shooter, and it advised people to run, hide, or fight. The words may seem a bit surprising, but they are actually an action plan taught as part of active shooter training approved by the Department of Homeland Security. People are advised to first run, to gather coworkers, and get to a safe location. Now, if they can't run, they should hide, close doors, add barricades, turn off lights, and keep quiet. And if the first 2 strategies don't work, trainers advise people to fight. Do everything in their power to put the shooter out of commission. That is intended, of course, as a last resort in that situation. Now, less than 2 weeks ago, an active shooter drill taught that very lesson at San Diego Community College. You can find that story and more coverage of today's incident online at kpbs.org. The stakes are getting higher in the San Diego's June election. Today, the City Council discussed a ballot measure to fund infrastructure projects. KPBS Metro reporter Andrew Bowen is in the newsroom with an update.
Rebuild San Diego. That's the title Councilman Mark Kersey gave his infrastructure measure. It wouldn't raise taxes or create any new revenue. Instead, it would lock away future revenue growth and pension savings. The money will be earmarked for infrastructure, and as City Attorney Jan Goldsmith noted, that word infrastructure can mean different things.
If the definition is too broad, it would seem that this would be meaningless. You'd just be creating another general fund, because all of this money could be allocated by a future city council as they saw fit. They could allocate it all to fixing potholes or building parks or whatever they feel is right.
San Diego is short at least $1.4 billion when it comes to infrastructure needs. The city's independent budget analyst said this measure could be a start, but that the city may need a tax increase to fully disclose the infrastructure deficit. Councilman Mark Kersey said the measure wasn't meant to be a permanent fix.
What this measure does is prevent short-term solutions from being applied to long-term problems. The only way we're going to permanently address today's infrastructure crisis is if we make infrastructure funding a mandate, not a suggestion.
Now, there was a lot of discussion on the details of the measure. Councilman Todd Gloria said the same thing could be accomplished in a city ordinance and that the public needs more time to vet this measure. The council still has to give its final approval to place the measure on the June ballot. Andrew Bowen, KPBS News.
Carlsbad voters can expect ballots to start arriving in their mailboxes. They're for next month's special election over a development plan at the Agua Hedionda Lagoon. Now, the developer there wants to build a shopping center and says his plan will keep 85% of the property as open space. Opponents say the buildings will be too big and will cause more traffic congestion. Ballots will be counted until February 23rd, when the polls will close. The California State Senate has approved 2 bills to rein in the California Public Utilities Commission. That follows allegations that the commission was too cozy with the utilities it regulates. Governor Jerry Brown vetoed similar legislation last year, but Democratic backers say they're working on a compromise with the governor's office. Meanwhile, a lawsuit aimed at forcing the CPUC to release dozens of emails about problems at the San Onofre nuclear plant will continue. The agency sought to have a lawsuit filed by San Diego attorney Mike Aguirre dismissed. The San Diego Union Tribune is reporting the judge will review the documents and then decide whether they can be withheld. A toxic mess in the Los Angeles area inspired a hearing at its state capitol today. Lawmakers asking for state funds to help pay for a massive cleanup at the site of a now shuttered battery recycling plant. But the LA representatives also say the company that ran the plant, Exide, should pitch in as well.
And there's no excuse for any polluter, including Exide in particular, to pollute our communities. We will not stand and allow this to happen. And I think today is a good first step moving forward, where you see the state and the county collaborate to find solutions and hold all parties accountable.
The Exide company says contamination from its plant was limited to nearby industrial areas, but recent state testing revealed otherwise. Elevated levels of lead were found in soil samples several miles from the site. The company agreed to close the plant last year to avoid criminal charges for environmental law violations. The Mexican government is taking a serious look at legalizing marijuana. Today, it hosted the first in a series of debates on marijuana policy. They were focusing on medical uses. Last year, a Mexican Supreme Court decision opened the door to recreational use of pot. Here in California, lawmakers are still hashing out regulations for medical marijuana. The state Senate passing a bill that eliminated the March 1st deadline that was pushing cities and counties to enact their own regulations, or they would give up authority to the state. Lawmakers say that deadline was a mistake, and local governments will keep their rights to regulate marijuana. Parkinson's disease may present itself slowly, frequently starting with a slight tremor or a shake, and in some cases, the symptoms can be so debilitating the patients can't even manage the simplest of tasks. Reporter Brianna Vanozzi shows us how a team of surgeons is working to combat those symptoms.
The tremors in 45-year-old John Leonard's hands and legs are so severe he's unable to work or drive. Side effects from the strong medications doctors in his native Arizona initially prescribed left his personal and financial life in ruins.
For the last month, he spent most of his time in his room because his legs shake so much, the tremors were so bad that he couldn't get comfortable.
He's what we call tremor dominant, early onset Parkinson's disease because he was diagnosed in his mid-30s.
It's one of the worst cases doctors at JFK Medical Center in Edison have ever seen. But today he's undergoing deep brain stimulation surgery, a procedure used to turn those tremors off.
So this is the lead that would connect to the microelectrode.
Dr. Asif Bashir and his team are inserting a thin, insulated wire called a lead. It's connected to another wire that monitors the activity of nerve cells and targets the signals that cause tremor and Parkinson's disease symptoms. The kicker? John is awake but mildly sedated for the entire procedure.
So we are basically listening to the brain. As we pass from the thalamus into the deeper part of the brain, which is the subthalamus, the activity goes up, and Dr. Hannah and our team is able to track the waves over there as well as we can listen to the activity.
They use an MRI and audio cues to locate the exact target in the brain where the nerve signals generate the symptoms. Listen closely. That rain on a tin roof sound is actually John's brain responding to the electrode.
We can hear the brain activity go up, telling us we're getting close to the target.
They'll send electrical impulses from a neurostimulator through the wire into the brain and block the signals causing the tremors.
It's very similar to a cardiac pacemaker, and it goes in the same area of the chest as a cardiac pacemaker. It's just about the same size.
Right now, doctors are fine-tuning and trying to find the appropriate balance between the highest voltage needed to turn the tremor off without causing a side effect.
That target is not resolving the tremor of the arm and the leg. So we're going to implant a second electrode in the same side of the brain at a different site that will get the tremor under control, and he will be able to reduce his medication significantly, if not completely.
Second time around, and they've got it.
How about if we turn it on again and take over the tremor? There we go. The prognosis is very good once you have the tremor under control. Then basically, as long as you keep on changing the generator every 4 or 5 years, all the motor symptoms are controlled for life.
It means it's not the end of the road for the young father of two. It's the start of a brand new one. In Edison, I'm Brianna Venozzi, NJTV News.
Denver Broncos quarterback Peyton Manning is heading to the Super Bowl with an investigation hanging over his head. The NFL says it is reviewing allegations that he had human growth hormone delivered to his house. Now, there is no timetable to complete that probe, but it's not expected to be done before Denver plays Carolina in the Super Bowl on February 7th. Manning has previously denied using performance-enhancing drugs. The Bay Area is, of course, hosting the Super Bowl and getting ready for the big game. Associated Press reporter Terry Chase says some residents are also getting ready to cash in.
Paul Aris and his wife Lisa Hernandez live a short walk from Levi's Stadium, which is hosting Super Bowl 50. But they don't plan to stick around for the NFL championship game.
Spare bedroom?
Instead, they plan to rent out their 2-bedroom house to Super Bowl fans through the home-sharing site Airbnb.
It's an opportunity for us to, have some relaxing time somewhere else and let somebody else enjoy the event.
So this is the kitchen?
But enjoying the Super Bowl won't be cheap. The Santa Clara couple is listing their house for a whopping $2,000 a night.
For such a big event, I would think it's probably something reasonable, yeah.
With the Panthers and Broncos set to clash on February 7th, many San Francisco Bay Area residents are hoping to cash in on the excitement by renting out their homes to visiting fans.
I'm just not a care in the world right now. I'm just ready for that Super Bowl.
Airbnb bookings analyst David Ortle says there's been a sharp increase in home listings for Super Bowl weekend, when hotel rooms will be pricey and hard to find. Some hosts are asking supersized prices, but Ortle says Airbnb hosts should be realistic because more rentals are coming on the market to meet the increased demand.
Our advice to people is to raise your prices a little bit, but not shoot the moon, not try to put this crazy price out there if you actually really want to get a booking.
Cindy Weintraub isn't shooting for the moon. The Los Gatos resident is offering 2 rooms in her house for $250 a night each. She'll even give her guests a ride to the train to Levi's Stadium.
I don't believe in gouging people, and I think it should be more affordable for people to come and enjoy themselves. Let them spend their money on gifts for their family or gifts for themselves.
A sentiment many out-of-town fans will appreciate as they search for Super Bowl housing. Terry Che, Associated Press, Santa Clara, California.
Water supplies have increased in California thanks to those recent winter storms we've experienced. As a result, the 29 public agencies that rely on the State Water Project will be getting more water this year. The Department of Water Resources says it's increasing deliveries to meet 15% of the requests. That's up from the estimated 10% they were predicting in December. It says that reservoir water levels have improved but are still pretty low. It felt like beach weather today here in San Diego, and you can expect more clear, sunny skies this week. KPBS weather reporter Molly Cochran gives us the forecast.
Well, it's a very dry pattern that we're stuck in across Southern California. Here's a look at our satellite and radar. It's just been smooth sailing all day long from LA to San Diego, also into the Fresno area. And it's thanks to an area of high pressure that's keeping us quiet and also rather dry. Closer to home over the past 6 hours, also expecting dry weather throughout the remainder of tonight. So we won't have to worry about any travel delays due to the weather as we head into the evening commute home from work. That does include the immediate coastline. We'll be under clear skies for tonight across San Diego into Ramona as well. But I also want to mention briefly, we had some powerful winds, mainly across the higher terrain earlier today. We actually had a wind advisory in place, but that has since expired. Some of those wind gusts were between 30 to 50 miles per hour at times. Things are calming down for tonight. Mount Laguna included in that. Our overnight low right around 33 degrees, so it still will be quite chilly. And we will be in the upper 40s along the immediate coastline. Pretty close to where we should be for this time of year, but temperatures should be rising a few degrees as we head into the middle half of the week. So this area of high pressure to thank for the nice weather, at least for now. We'll have that sunshine back out in full swing from LA to San Diego, really across much of Southern California. Now the afternoons definitely going to be feeling pretty good, but by the time we head into the overnight, we will cool off, so still might need those lighter jackets if you do have any evening plans. Now here's a look across the immediate coastline for the next 5 days. So it's going to be very nice into the later half of the week and into the start of the weekend. Saturday's your day. Definitely want to get in any outdoor activities because we're going to be watching a pattern change. The jet stream going to be lifting or sinking rather farther to the south. This is going to be bringing in some cloud cover and the chance for some spotty showers by the time we head into Sunday. And this system on some of the models that we're watching right now looks pretty potent. So definitely could cause for a few travel delays as we head into the later half of the weekend. Here's a look farther inland, expecting mostly sunny skies. Temperatures in the 70s for Wednesday and Thursday, in the mid-60s for Saturday. And then we are going to be looking at those spotty showers and some cloud cover coming in for Sunday with a daytime high of 63. Across the mountainous regions, also going to be partly sunny to mostly sunny for the next couple days. And we will be rather cloudy for Sunday. Also going to be looking at some showers, and also the wind going to be a key player. Here's a look across the desertous region. Temperatures running in the mid to upper 70s with plenty of bright sunshine through Saturday. A shower or two possible on Sunday with a daytime high of 66. So we are going to be a little bit cooler by the end of the weekend. Molly Cochran, KPBS News.
All that sunshine and still a lot of snow back east for those of you who have friends and family there. Well, for years, Willie Morrow ran a barbershop on Market Street in southeast San Diego. It was a gathering place for the black community, and he invented products that changed the African-American beauty industry. A new exhibit at the Museum of California Center for the Arts Escondido looks at his career and the history of black hair care. KPBS reporter Angela Caron has that story.
See, this right here explains what I did, when I did it, what strength I used, what product I used, and then if I curl the hair, if I roll it, then it does that, and that, and then.
Willie Morrow knows a thing or two about hair.
I'm the world authority on hair, and I don't make no bones about it. I know a lot about black hair, straight hair, curly hair, wavy hair, you name it, I'm a hair guy.
Morrow's career and his collection of hair care memorabilia are the subject of an exhibit in Escondido. It's called 400 Years Without a Comb. There's artwork, hand-carved African combs, and styling equipment. During the 60s and 70s, Morrow ran a barber shop on Market Street in southeast San Diego.
This chair here is my chair in San Diego that I started on in 1959. And from this chair, it's just, my career just took off.
Michael Jordan sat in that chair, as did many black politicians and athletes, including some San Diego Chargers. Former Charger and artist Ernie Barnes was a customer. His paintings were featured in the 70s TV show Good Times and on the cover of a Marvin Gaye album. He also painted Morrow's barbershop.
This is the guy here, he has the Bible, and then there was the Muslim guys, and they had the newspapers, and the barber, he would talk to everybody, say, this is the barber here. Everybody that was anybody went to the barber shop, and we all met there and discussed all the issues, and everything was discussed in the barber shop.
Morrow did more than cut hair.
Once you're a barber, you become the godfather of the community, so people ask you everything. How to borrow money, how to buy a house, how to buy a car.
Morrow designed and patented a special comb for curly hair, and he's a collector. His collection of black hair care memorabilia dates back to slavery. San Diego Mesa College professor Starla Lewis curated the exhibit. She says only a portion of the collection is in the show, but some medieval-looking equipment made it in.
These are hair curlers.
Hair curlers?
Hair curlers. Now, an interesting thing about this that I found out yesterday is that the amps, I think it went up to an 11, and after 2, you can become electrocuted. So women were really risking their lives once again for beauty, what we will do for beauty.
In the African American beauty industry, it's popular to use chemical relaxers to straighten hair. Their use is controversial. They can damage the hair and scalp.
If you go to a beauty shop and you see little girls getting perms, often you'll see their little legs shaking and they'll be because it's getting hot and it's hurting.
The show looks at the history of straightening hair and raises questions as to how it became a beauty standard. Morrow created a line of gentle relaxers called California Curl. They're manufactured here in his Lemon Grove warehouse.
I tried to make product that, first of all, is chemically solid. I don't just make products, but just to be making them and burning folks' hair and burning their scalp. When I shake my hand, it's gone. The water's gone, but the product is still there.
At 76, Morrow is still testing new products. He tests on natural hair.
That's not very much, but take that piece. Then I use these pieces to practice on.
He takes the Bible when he goes out to cut and collect hair. He says it helps fight superstitions.
Oh, I don't want to cut it off. The birds get it, and if the birds get my hair, my grandmama told me that you won't live long. There's a lot of superstitions that go along with it. So if they believe in the Bible, I'll just cut it and I'll put it in here.
Morrow grew up one of 8 children in a sharecropping family that raised cotton in Alabama. He started cutting hair at 12 years old. Looking back on those humble beginnings, an exhibit devoted to his career is a little overwhelming.
I look around the walls here and, oh my goodness, how could one guy do all these different things?
I believe that Dr. Morrow did what he did and dedicated his life because he loved people in general, and he loved black people in particular, and he knew that as a people we were struggling to love ourselves in a society where we experience so much rejection.
Morrow's story shows how San Diego played a role in a history where hair is about so much more than style. Angela Carone, KPBS News.
400 Years Without a Comb will be on exhibit through March 6th at the California Center for the Arts in Escondido. Now, black hair is the subject of one of the movies being screened at this week's San Diego Black Film Festival. That festival opens tomorrow night, and it will include a community screening of Straight Outta Compton. That happens on Saturday. All the screenings will be held at the Reading Theater in the Gaslamp District. Tomorrow on KPBS Midday Edition, Maureen Cavanaugh will talk with the director of the San Diego Black Film Festival about the more than 500 films that are being featured. That's at noon on KPBS Radio. Let's take a moment to recap tonight's top story. A shooting scare at the Naval Medical Center in Balboa Park today. The Navy says it got a report of shots fired, and the hospital posted a warning of an active shooter on its Facebook page, telling people to run, hide, or fight. People were cleared out while the building was searched. The Navy says there are as many as 800 people in that structure on any given day. 3 nearby schools were also locked down. There were no signs of a shooting found anywhere on that campus. Now, tonight's stories are also online at kpbs.org/evening edition. And we want to thank you for joining us. We will be back here again tomorrow night. Have yourself a great evening.